Okay, so today I'm going to say something that is probably going to shock you because I built an AI audit agent. And before your thoughts go running, before you start thinking the wildest thoughts ever, let me address what you're thinking right now. You're probably thinking, there's no way this automated the entirety of audit. There's no way it's automated all the accounting that comes with it. And today I'm here to tell you that that is not what I've done. No, that is not what I've done. Okay? What I have done, however, is created an AI audit agent that does the subtasks within audit fieldwork. And what I'm talking about here is sample selection. What I'm talking about is exception tracking. What I'm talking about is audit plan generation. All the stuff, working paper formatting, I have automated it. You're probably now thinking, well, why am I even qualified to talk about this? I have spent the last 2 years doing audit work, and I've seen firsthand just how bad it can get and just how repetitive audit fieldwork processes and tasks can become. I know how it gets from the sample selections, I know how it gets from working paper formatting, countless revisions, countless reviews from your senior auditor. It gets tiresome, and well, that's not how you're supposed to do your job. And that is why today I have come with a solution, an AI audit agent that generates the audit plan, that automates the working paper formatting, that automates the sample selection, or these subtasks. And today I'm going to show you exactly how it works. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. This is the workflow. And as you can see, we have an AI audit plan agent at the top and an execution agent at the bottom. These are two workflows. I'm going to just zoom that out to show you guys the full view of it all. It's a massive, extremely complex workflow. Right. So, what is happening here? So, I'm just going to explain very quickly. I'm not going to run this because, well, it takes around 25 minutes to completely finish. I mean, no, you can't automate this entire process within, 5 seconds. It's not possible. You're not going to do that. But anyway, yeah, let's jump straight into it. And well, the input for this plan is whatever trial balances that you are able to provide for it, whatever trial balances, whatever invoices, whatever financial data you can provide. And what happens is you upload it onto either Google Drive or WhatsApp agent that we would have set up for you, and this data is converted from binary into JSON. So the JSON is then uploaded via this webhook over here. I'll give you an example of how it looks. Yeah, I'll give you an example of how it looks. And so that's how it looks there. And well, we're going to set, and straight after that, let me just speed run this right now. We're going to set our content variables, meaning what fields we want in our working papers, and then from that we're going to process the trial balances and map the FSAs that we would have generated. And while we do our materiality, we do our risk assessment, we combine the data, and then a plan is generated for the audit fieldwork plan. It's sent to a partner if there are any risks that are overlapping. If it's not, it is sent to the auditor. This is standard procedure. And the second workflow is started, where it receives this plan that was generated initially, and now we basically now have the magic happening. So you see, this workflow, the second workflow here, the fieldwork execution agent, is essentially a senior audit manager's brain, but automated, quite frankly. See, it takes your planning output, the one we would have done from our first workflow up here, as you can see. It takes that planning output and it applies the same logic an experienced auditor would use, but more flawlessly every single time. And well, it has four main stages. There's an intelligence layer where it's going to process the planning data and set the context that we need for the specific working papers we want generated. It's going to have a strategy engine where it's building the sampling strategies and the testing schedules for each FSA, and then an execution suite where it runs parallel testing for all of the FSAs that we're going to run. In this case, I only used expense testing. I only use revenue and asset testing because this is just a demo. I am not automating an entire I'm not doing this for a company right now. So from that, and then obviously the fourth layer would be the documentation factory, where we're actually producing our professional working papers. So yeah, so it all starts with the webhook receiving the planning data, and well, that's where it actually gets smart. So, and after that, we're going to load all the plan data, and it's not like just processing data; it's actually thinking. It's calculating the risk level. It's parsing the materiality amount, and it's acting exactly like a senior auditor would do in a real world situation. And so next, we're going to set the fieldwork context, pulling client details, thresholds, and risks that would have been found beforehand, multiple sources, and unifying them into one specific clear picture. And this is where the magic actually happens. We're going to generate the test programs in this case, and analyzing each FSA balance against risk and materiality, and quite obviously instantly creating tailored programs for that. Is it example of this? Is it high risk revenue? Let's proceed. Is it high risk revenue? Is it are they immaterial accounts? Whatever it is, it's making the same professional judgments that you would within your respective company. And so, with that, we obviously step into the strategy engine, and this is basically where we are having trained audit specialists generate strategies and testing strategies for each FSA. The sampling strategy agent is actually built on ISA 530. It considers population size, risk, and materiality to determine optimal sample sizes. I think I'll just show you guys the prompt over here. Yeah, so as you guys can see, you are a senior audit manager with the extensive experience in audit sampling methodology and statistical techniques. You follow ISA 530 audit sampling and apply appropriate sampling methods based on audit objectives, risk assessment, and materiality considerations. Your task is to design comprehensive sampling strategies for all audit areas based on the audit plan, the test programs for, well, it's a bit of JSON, don't have to worry about that. Now we're just giving you context on what we're doing, who we're doing this for, stuff like that. What you actually see is the inputs from the past nodes. And what a node is basically this thing, all these stuff here. All the nodes, their data is fed into this, and so that's basically how that works. And so you see why this sampling strategy is so important is, okay, well, you're an auditor watching this, so you know that you almost never check every single transaction that a client makes. It'll take way too long and it costs way too much. It's often just not necessary. So in this case, we do what we call sampling. We sample transactions, we select samples of transactions. And it's important because it lets us find reliable opinion on the financial statements without reviewing every single item. And the strategy behind it is important because you can't just pick some transactions at random and then call it a day. The way you choose samples affects the reliability of your conclusions. A good strategy ensures that your sample is representative of the risks that are within the FSAs, and it meets professional standards like the ISA 530. And well, I don't think I have to explain to you guys what testing schedules are. Yeah. So, and well, from that, we now have our documentation, or we have our execution suite. So, this is basically where traditional audit software just stops. And we have 3 specialized agents running in parallel, each an expert in their own domain. So a revenue testing agent, an expense testing agent, and an asset testing agent. And see, the thing with these agents, they're not just checking boxes. They're identifying exceptions, they're quantifying misstatements, and assessing a session impact. And then from all this, we're going to merge the data we get from the results generated from these specific FSA, from these agents with the respective FSAs, and we basically now have a documentation layer, a factory, where we're now generating our working papers. I'm going to scroll to that right now. And so what we're doing here is the documentation factory is turning all the audit ready, it's turning all the data into audit ready working papers, right? So the sample data is generated with tick marks, source references, exception rates. I'm going to put it up on the screen actually, so you guys just see an example of uh, one of the working papers it generated, one of the completed working papers it generated. And while the results speak for themselves, as I said, I'll put it on the screen. It's a transformed working paper with clear objectives, detailed samples, and professional conclusions. The output is fully formatted in Excel files. Client name, prepare initials, reviewer sign off, materiality thresholds, and this is all done for whatever FSA you have. Whether it's PPE, whether it's revenue, whether it's expenses, whether it's cash and bank, it's all consistent and it all meets the regulatory standards. So, So as I said, there's no way I'm going to run the entire thing. If you want to just see the demo live, you can actually just hit the link in the description to send you to a video where I do let it run for around 25 minutes. As I said, this is not one of those generic solutions. This is an actual agent that does audit work. So I'm just going to explain to you the results of this workflow. The output is basically a complete fieldwork documentation. It's going to show the testing status for each FSA that we do. It's going to show the exception tracking. It's going to show the control observations, overall fieldwork conclusions, and the quality and the compliance checks and stuff like that. What used to take 2 to 3 weeks now takes minutes with zero drop in quality. I mean, it's just so insane what AI is able. And I genuinely put my heart out to everyone who thinks AI is here to replace them. AI is here to, take their job, stuff like that. Guys, look, the way the world has worked has always been evolution. That's the way it's been from the beginning. There's nothing that's going to change that. There's no way we're going. If we had stopped the internet from being created, where would we be right now? This stuff happens, and what matters is whether you're going to adapt to it or not. Right? That's what matters. And it's just the way it is. I mean, look, the way it's always been is the people who are the most skilled, the people who are the most competent, are the ones that are always going to come out on the top. The way AI works, I'll give you an example of how I even built this. So I started carrying out interviews with multiple auditors, actually, just getting brief understanding of how each auditor sees these audit workflows and how they carry out their procedures within their respective fields. And me telling you that is basically letting you know that I needed an auditor to do this. And while the quality of my workflow, the quality of the solution that I've showed you today was dependent on what those people told me about their experiences. Meaning that my workflow is only as good as my knowledge, is only as good as my experience. And so now think of it like this. If you were to learn how to use this type of stuff, just you with your years and years of experience, 16 15 years 15 years plus of experience, I'm a beginner in this. If you were able to learn this, what could you do with it? That's the question you have to ask yourself. It's always been about, okay, I have a skill, how can I implement that skill, and how can I make whatever I build better in the world with that. See, that's just the basic underlying premise about this AI stuff and whatever. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the video. If you guys want to book a call with me, I am going to leave a link to a landing page that is going to send you. So I'm actually doing free AI audits right now. But we are only working with companies that have employees of 20 employees or under. And so if you qualify for that, we are going to vet you. My team will vet you in, and we'll see if we can work with you and offer you a free AI audit. You can just hit the link in the description. And well, I'll see you guys in the next one.